I know you mad that Jon Bones Jones is him. Jon Jones defeats Stipe Miocic. Not only does he defeat him, he retires him. Wow. Listen, I want to give you guys my thoughts. Jon Jones, he's moved up to heavyweight. He already defeated Gane, made it look pretty easy, and Gane is a big dude. Stipe Miocic is widely considered one of, if not the heavyweight GOATs in the UFC. Some people think he's the greatest heavyweight ever, right? He was a bit inactive, but I've seen a lot of people making excuses saying like, oh, Jon beat an aged 42-year-old Stipe coming off a loss and he was inactive. But he's still considered a legend, and Jon Jones said that's what he's after, legacy fights. Furthermore, people who keep bringing up like activity, you have to understand that Jon Jones hasn't been the most active. In fact, he only fought one time in 2023 against Cyril Gane. So what are we talking about? It's not like, and you act like Jon Jones is in his 20s, right? Jon Jones is in his 30s, late 30s. Stipe is 42. Neither one had a ton of activity. Now, about the fight, domination. Jon Jones, I think he dominated Stipe in every way. He controlled the distance. He was getting off singles. I think knowing that he's in there with the legend, knowing that neither one of them have had a bunch of activity, knowing he's in a new weight class, Jon Jones, he decided to play it economical and, pick his spots. So he was kind of pot shotting. His stand-up strikes were nice, but a lot of them were singles. He didn't get greedy, took his time, and he systematically broke down Stipe. Front kicks, beautiful. The kicks throughout the fight, leg kicks, front kicks, strikes, all effective. Stipe had, a couple moments where he tried to, explode with some combinations and get something going, but nothing was really sustained. You just seen Jon Jones use his distance, back up, and kind of reset. So Stipe never really got anything off. In the first round, it went to the ground, and I think that set a vicious early tone because Jon Jones is one of the greatest at ground and pound. He, from all accounts, from Rashad Evans to Chael Sonnen, all these guys tell you that Jon Jones is insanely strong. Even though he's moved up to heavyweight, that hasn't changed. So he holds positioning, and when he gets that top mount, he just starts going to town, and that's what he did to Stipe. And that puts Stipe really, guy who hadn't fought in some odd years, that put him in a bad position, in a deficit in round one, and he was getting hit with some vicious elbows. And for me, the thing that was most impressive with Jon Jones is I feel like he really retired Stipe. He showed Stipe that you don't really want this. You know what I mean? Like, he was breaking him down, and I think he broke the will of Stipe throughout this fight, and it was just like slowly but surely unraveling. Stipe being a veteran, being a legend, he has a good poker face, but I think the will was broken, and he really didn't want to, because throughout the fight, he was really hesitant and apprehensive. Like, he had almost too much respect for Jon Jones. I mean, I'm not saying you should throw caution to the wind and, fight like an idiot, but you got a certain amount of rounds to work. You got to get something done if you really want to win it. So ultimately, Jon Jones had hit him with a spinning back kick, which was sick. He actually started it. He had, I believe, a front kick, and then Stipe's back was to the cage, and then he did a spinning back kick, which was it was ridiculous, sickening, and just bow. Stipe falls to the ground. Jon Jones looks, gets his body back in position, looks, sees that Stipe's falling to the ground, that the strike hit, and he just went to town, and immediately it was stopped. Then after, he did the Donald Trump MAGA dance in front of Donald Trump. The man is a beast. Shout out to Jon Jones, the greatest UFC fighter. I mean, he keeps proving it. Like, and then I seen a lot of people making excuses. They're like, oh, this and that, and Stipe was old. I've already went over, neither guy had activity. But the other thing is, people were trying to make it seem like it was a bunch of stuff that even the commentators a bit, they were making it sound like this was just a washed, like, worn version of Stipe. But I digress. Like, I feel at the end of the day, this is what Jon Jones does to everybody, right? He finds a way. He has an insane will to win, and he finds your weaknesses and your vulnerability. So most of the time, this is how Jon Jones fights look. Vicious knees, vicious elbows, making you hesitate, and, trying to control the distance, using his strength. And he just has so many weapons. A lot of people are on Tom Aspinall, on his jock, because he's calling out Jon Jones. I think it's kind of, for Jon Jones, he just feels like, I've already fought a bunch of prospects. I beat him, and then you guys don't really give me full credit. So, new weight class, this dude's big, doesn't really do anything great for my legacy. That's what he's saying. So I think at the end of the day, and there's hype, and fans are like, oh, he'll beat you and all this type of stuff. So I think at the end of the day, Jon Jones is playing the negotiating game because he wants to get cashed out, and he wants the UFC to respect it. You want me to take all these risks, and I've had limited activity. I'm in a new weight class, then pay like you weigh. And I don't see anything wrong with that. So I actually like how Jon Jones is approaching the situation. When he was interviewing post-fight with Joe Rogan, he did hint. He said, let's get the business going, and then maybe we can give the fans what they've been asking for. So he kind of hinted to an Aspinall fight, which would be a good fight. But again, this social media age is a lot of recency bias, right? We really never seen, it's not like Aspinall, you could say he's an interim champion or whatnot, but what has he really done? Fought blades? Like I don't really get it. I don't really get what he's done to the point where people think Jon Jones has no chance and things like that. I don't know. It sounds a bit crazy to me personally, but to each his own. I think Aspinall is a good fighter, but to count Jon Jones out like he's a sucker, I don't agree with that either. I think Jon Jones is lethal, and he has the willingness to win. He has clearly more experience than Tom Aspinall. Again, it's not like Aspinall beat Francis Ngannou or anybody like that. He didn't fight Gain. So what are we talking about? But anyway, I don't want to make it too much about him. Shout out to Jon Jones, another one. Stipe, I wish him well in his retirement after back-to-back losses to Ngannou and now Jon Jones. I think retirement is needed. It didn't look like Stipe truly wanted to be there, especially when Jon Jones was getting off on him. So, I think retirement is the best choice.